It's an absolute pleasure. We're going to be speaking with a gentleman called Thor Phillips, and he joins us now. Thor, how are you going?
I'm going excellent. Thanks very much for having us on.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Now, the first time we ran into Thor Phillips, folks, was down at the very first Broadbeach Country Music Festival, as it was known at the time, and I reckon Thor had every instrument known to man in front of him. He had his drum kit set up, a bunch of different instruments. You were the consummate one-man band, Thor Phillips.
Yeah, thank you. It's funny, you know, a lot of people have done it in different ways, and at the time it was kind of unique, and that the one-man band thing was, you know, a really useful tool, basically, especially as a father and provider. I was able to open up a lot more doors for revenue and for work. And, you know, some of my stomp blues sort of tunes really, you know, translated well on that at the time, and we rolled with that for a fair few years. After a while, we sort of felt like it was taking away from some of the songwriting and that, so we stopped doing it. I use a stomp box now instead of a kick drum. But yeah, back then it was you know, you could really lay into it with some of those songs. So it was an interesting time, that's for sure.
So tell us about what you've been doing in that time. Talk about the songwriting. Have you been collaborating or just spending time alone, putting together your music?
Yeah, look, most of the songwriting I've done for my records has generally been all my own work. But this time we do have one collaboration on there with a friend of mine, Jeff Palmer, from a band called Collins Class. It's a song called Storm is Breaking, and that's on the new record, Higher Ground. So that was the only one I've collaborated under my name. And then as a songwriter, I've written songs for, well, mostly guys I was playing guitar with back in those, you know, I guess, period between 2010 and 2014. Guys like Adam James, which we had a few songs that did pretty well, and Collins Class as well. Actually, I had a song on their last record as well. So yeah, it's sort of that's about the majority of that sort of work, yeah.
So the song we're going to be playing tonight is Higher Ground. Tell us the process for Thor Phillips when you do sit down to write something for yourself.
Look, it's always an organic process with the songs that I've kept over time. I've tried to force things and, you know, try it other ways, but it never really, you know, my songwriting has to really resonate with myself and come from, you know, real life stories and whatnot, or values. So with that song, I had that sort of mulling away in the back of my head. I play a lot of dobro slide guitar, and so finally one morning I got up after a show, you know, and so I went out. I live in the rural New South Wales, closer to the coast, so northern New South Wales, Northern Rivers area. Anyway, we had a big show one night, and of course, a lot of our shows, the whole family has to come because my wife sings with me, so the kids are there, so everyone's tired, and I let them sleep in, and the dobro's a really noisy instrument. So I was actually out in the paddock, and it was summer, so I was out in the paddock in my undies, and just writing this song, and by the time my wife woke up, it was all written exactly as it went down. As far as lyrically and musically, it all just came out. And, you know, when that happens, you know, sometimes it happens really easily and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it happens in a way which you sort of know it's going to stay, or, you know, it's quite sort of special, and yeah, you might do small refinements, but that's how that was written. So, you know, and it's a process of, well, the lines come from the heart and the head in one hit, and then when you hit a block, because you're recording it as you go, like with a phone, or, you know, which is really no different to back using the little handheld tape recorder back in, you know, people before us. So that's how we do it, you know, and every time you're capturing it and then building on it, and then, you know, 2 hours later I had that particular song, maybe less, and then played it through enough till it sort of came together.
And the best thing, folks, is next time you go and see a Thor Phillips show, when he plays Higher Ground, that's how he's going to be playing it, just in his undies with the dobro. So we're looking forward to that. Mate, if people want to follow you, find out about where you are, what you're doing, and get a copy of your music, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, the best way to be jump onto thorphillips.com. That's got a store on that where they can find the links to the iTunes and, of course, buy hard copies of the new CD. And there's the Facebook, which is just Facebook, you know, Thor Phillips. That's the best two ways to find it. It's also on Instagram. It's Thor Phillips Music. So that's the three main avenues.
Great to catch up with you tonight, folks. His name's Thor Phillips, and the single is called Higher Ground.
And the steepest of hills, the roughest of roads, they take you to places where you need to go. It's higher ground.